part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome to another Reghi and Roda podcast powered by MGM Northfield Park right here on the Press Play Podcast Network. As we always do to start the show, can't get it done without our esteemed producer, Ty Quartz, making sure all of you out there in the podcatosphere get to hear what we have to say. And Michael Reghi, Championship Sunday, AFC, NFC Championship games. KC goes on the road, beats Baltimore 17-10. And San Fran, with a huge second-half rally at home, takes care of Detroit 34-31. So we're looking at a rematch of Super Bowl 54, Kansas City and San Francisco, and we'll get to that in a little bit here, Michael. But let's start with the early game in the AFC as Kansas City, the defending champs, the heart of a champion. Rudy Tomjanovich said it until, hey, in order to be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! And unfortunately, Baltimore couldn't do it, and KC moves on.
As we get started tonight, I want all of you to, all of our loyal R&R listeners, to join me in wishing my good buddy and esteemed colleague, Reghi Roda, a most happy trip around the sun. Another birthday for the road man. We don't get into numbers here.
That's okay. Numbers are just numbers. The big 6-0, okay? Yeah, I did it. I made it to 60, so life is good. And thank you for the birthday wish. I appreciate it.
Happy birthday. I hope it's a great year for you, buddy. And if it's any consolation, I've been in that decade for 9 years now. So, I still got you there. But again, happy birthday. You're a terrific man. You do a great job in the broadcast industry, and I wish you all the best, not just today, but throughout the next year, too.
Thank you. Appreciate that, partner.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you said we're going to start with the Baltimore Ravens getting beat by KC?
Yep.
I tell you, I mean, say Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and his football team, Kenny, to me, they're just flat out winners, man. They're winners. You put them in any situation, and they seem to overcome it. Now, I know this is really the first time in their long run that they've had to go win on the road, right?
Right.
And they went and did that today. And for Lamar Jackson, who I have a lot of respect for, Kenny, but, the losses in the playoffs continue to grow for him, right? Continue to grow for him, under John Harbaugh and that Ravens football team. To me, I think we discussed this. To me, Baltimore is a top 3 team in this league, but to not be able to advance to a Super Bowl, I don't know. I think it's going to start to be something that I'll ask you, partner, is it a stigma that Lamar Jackson's going to have to really start to deal with, with John Harbaugh and the Ravens football team?
It's been and still is, Michael, okay? Twice he'll be a regular season MVP, but he's never made it to a Super Bowl. I think he only has a couple of playoff wins, and this one was at home in the AFC Championship game. And my concern with him was if he had to throw the football in a big game, he would have trouble doing so. And he throws a terrible interception in the end zone late in the game, fumbles earlier in the game on a sack. So he turned it over twice. His counterpart, Patrick Mahomes, did not. And how about the numbers from Patty Mahomes? 30 of 39, Michael, on the road. Yeah. 241, a touchdown, no interceptions, no fumbles. He gets it done. And let's give credit, too, though, to that KC defense. These were the top 2 defensive teams, points per game-wise, coming into the contest. 17-10, low-scoring game. And Lamar Jackson and Baltimore coughed it up 3 times to go along with 8 penalties and 95 yards in those 8 penalties. So costly mistakes and stupid penalties. Zay Flowers taunting after taking the pass and getting it down to the 8-yard line where you could get to within 3, and then you got to get backed up on. Reg, just stupid plays and bad mistakes by Baltimore and Lamar Jackson. Sorry, until you win that big game, I will pick against you every single time.
Well, that's right. And look, that's what it's all about. Lamar Jackson's an outstanding quarterback. I'll still say, though, Kenny, that his legs are a strong 70% of that outstanding quarterback. And again, this month of January for this Ravens football team with him at the helm just isn't happening, right? It just isn't happening. So look, I mean, it's just the way it is. You get all the attaboys and all the kudos and all the plaudits. Well, you know what? When you lose a game like today, if you're Baltimore, I mean, Kenny, how many, if we would have said before, well, Kansas City's going to have to win with 17 points. Right. Now, what percentage would you and I would have said that's 17 points is what you're telling me Kansas City's going to get in this AFC Championship game. I'll tell you, they got about a 5% chance to win that. And so there you go. Baltimore offensively. And again, I don't know. You tell me. I mean, Lamar Jackson, I think everybody would say, as you said, I think you said, probably going to be the MVP of the league for the second time, right?
Yep.
But I mean, you got to be able to win this football game at home when, in essence, you really needed just 20 points to do so.
At home.
At home. 20 points to do so.
Yep.
Like I said, Kansas City's only going to put up 17. Well, again, I'm going to tell you, 98% of the time, Baltimore's winning that football game and might win it by double digits or more.
Yep.
And Lamar Jackson, and again, that throwing into double and triple coverage, and I get it, they're down and he's looking to make a play, but I think I got a feeling that the Ravens, what's the guy's name, Bisciotti, the owner of that football team, I got a feeling they're going to make a great deal of personnel changes this offseason, Ken.
Well, they've got to do something, Rich. They're close, but they're not getting over the top.
No.
They just locked up their quarterback, so that's not going to be the change. So what do? The defense holds KC scoreless in the second half and to 17 points for the game. So offensively, he needs more weapons. Odell Beckham Jr. ain't the answer.
No.
He's done. Stick a fork in him. Zay Flowers, at times had a big game yardage-wise, but stupid taunting penalty, and then he coughs it up trying to dive into the end zone.
Yeah.
And, they lose 7 points right there to start the fourth quarter. Could have made it 17-14 at that point. So they need playmakers on the offensive side of the ball at running back and at wide receiver when Mark Andrews is your biggest offensive threat, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's not good at tight end. He played again after coming back from the ankle injury. Wasn't a real big factor today. So I think that's the area where they're going to have to address that team to try and get it past Kansas City and Reds. Fourth time in the last 5 years they were in the Super Bowl. They're 2-1 in the 3 previous trips with a chance to repeat, go back-to-back this year and make it 3 Super Bowl wins in the last 5 years.
Well, say what you want about Andy Reid, and I know he is a lot of people in their hometown fans of Kansas City criticize him every time they lose a football game. But Kenny, I'll take Andy Reid as my football coach all the time, man. This guy is a winner, and he puts his team in the best possible position to win almost every Sunday, every time they go out to play, regular season, postseason, it doesn't matter. And again, a lot of people, like to get on Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if he's got that G. Come on, man. This guy is a big-time winning quarterback. Big-time winner.
Hall of Famer already, Michael.
Well, he's always got home games. Don't give a damn. Home games, road games, you still have to go put the type of play together that's going to make you successful. And so, wait till he goes on the road to Baltimore. How many times did you hear that this weekend? I heard it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, you should have been doing a little bit more digging into whether or not Lamar Jackson was going to be able to stand up and play well enough to allow the home team to win, which they did not. So I got nothing but big time ups for Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce,
Ooh, boy, did he have a game.
everybody on that football team. They're damn good, and they're probably going to win another championship again. But we'll get into that later.
Travis Kelce, 11 grabs, $116 and a touchdown. The Swifties were going crazy.
Oh,
Taylor
yeah.
Swift gave him a big smooch after the game on the field. It's the reverse of the Kardashian curse. Remember the Kardashian curse
Sure.
in the NBA, Reg, right? Whenever
Yeah.
somebody from the Kardashian family would date one of the NBA players, their career would go down the toilet. Well, it's the reverse.
Yep.
Kelsey and KC, they were struggling a little bit. Taylor Swift comes along, all the hype and the spotlight now all over Kansas City, and all of a sudden they're headed back to another Super Bowl. So the Swifties are happy, and Chiefs fans are happy, and Lamar Jackson and the Dirty Birds from Baltimore have to wait at least another year to try and get back to a Super Bowl, which they've never done with Lamar Jackson as their quarterback.
Well, that's right, and that's the stigma that they're going to have to get past. And again, I think it just puts an extra added onus on Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh and that football team to, look to get this accomplished, because getting anything less than that, I mean, is not considered successful for them.
Right.
It just didn't. I mean, nobody's happy about. I guarantee you that we went to the AFC Championship game. You don't give a damn about that. You got it when you got that kind of football team and this type of, I get evidently, MVP type quarterback. You better be winning championships, man. And they ain't even get there, Ken. They ain't even get there to give themselves a chance to win. So, I'm going to changes are coming in Baltimore. It'll be Steve Bisciotti. That's the owner's name. I think he will. I think he'll make sure and let John Harbaugh know that. I need to see personnel changes in your roster. So we'll see where that goes with them. And that'll affect the Browns, as we know, because the Browns in the same division in the AFC North play them twice a year. So, we'll see what all that entails.
Congratulations to Kansas City. They move on to Super Bowl 58 to take on the San Francisco 49ers, who rally from a 24-7 halftime deficit. And I feel for you and my two partners, my podcast partner and my radio partner, right? JT, Kenny and JT show Monday through Friday, 3 to 7 on 1480 WHBC, WHBC.com. He was at a party with his buddy, Ben Stouffer. Ben Stouffer is one of the biggest Lions fans in the world. Actually got to go either to a Super Bowl or to a Lions game with Roger Goodell because he's such a big fan.
No kidding.
His garage is basically a museum for Detroit Lions history. And that's where he held a party to watch this game. And at halftime, they sent me videos. They were hooping and hollering and living up, life to the fullest. And then the second half happened, and a 24-7 halftime lead disappears, and they lose 34-31, Michael. And where does the blame? We talked about Lamar Jackson and the turnovers and the penalties, right? That's where the blame falls with the Baltimore Ravens today. Where does the blame fall for the Detroit Lions today?
It's got to start with the head coach, Dan Campbell. Kenny, look, I think everybody, love the aggressiveness. This dude just doesn't like to kick field goals, Ken. He just, I don't give a 4th and 2, 4th and 3, 4th and 6, 4th and 8. This dude is going to keep the offense on the football field. And I know a lot of NFL fans are even like, love the aggressiveness. Ken, I think you and I, sometimes the aggressiveness can be the most stupid decision that an NFL head coach can make. I like aggressiveness too. And I'm not going to tell you I don't. And I'm not going to tell you that in the last couple of years, Dan Campbell has done a hell of a job. But Kenny, you cannot. He left 6 points on the field today, man.
Yep.
On the road against San Francisco. get your field goal kicker out and kick the damn field goal. And because Ken, look, their defense and especially their linebackers and secondary are middling at best.
Yeah.
Best part of that football team, their offense and the defensive line, led by Aiden Hutchinson, is a good defensive line. But after that, Kenny, there's a reason that that secondary gets lit up. And sure, in games they win when they're all that offense pretty much knows we got to put 30 or more up every week to give us a chance to win. And defensively, it bit them again. And Dan Campbell on the road against the San Francisco 49ers left 6 points on the field today. So I just I think there's a time when you have to, again, hey, look, man, Dan Campbell, it doesn't make you a loser mentality-wise to get the field goal team out there, okay? I mean, there's a reason that teams want to get strong field goal kickers when you're not always going to convert, man, right? Fourth down, you're just not. But this man goes forward continually over and over and over again. And Ken, there have been times, he's been successful picking up a fourth down this year. And I've just shook my head and said, man, there's going to be a time when this runs out on you. Converting fourth downs. I think, Ken, if we look at the sheer analytics, aren't that easy to do, are they?
No.
You're not going to live by that and be a successful football operation. Did it twice today and left 6 points out on the board, and they got beat, by 3, 34-31. I'm not here to try to intimate that everything would have stayed the same had they kicked the field goals. But, Ken, you're up by 17, man. 17, that's a 3-possession lead. And you put up a goose egg until that finally you go down 10 and you get a last inside the final minute TD for the only points of the second half. So think about that, Kenny. They're up 24-7, and then they got outscored 27-0 to go down 10 until that final, like I said, touchdown that basically rendered meaningless at that point when you got down 10. So, as someone who was a 3-year-old kid when my father and uncles took me to the 1957 last Lions championship game. I was 3. I don't remember too damn much about it, I know I went. I know I was there. My dad and told me that throughout my whole life, but I don't remember. They won, but at you're 3. I mean, what the hell do you know anyway? But yeah, I mean, I thought I'll be damned. This is, this team is gonna get to a Super Bowl. Even put on, Ken, which I don't normally do. I put Lions gear on today. I put the hat. I got the Lions hat on. I got the Lions top on, and no help. So I don't know. I just don't like the way they. I don't like the way they lost today when head coaching decisions, in my mind, cost you more than what the play on the field did. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Reg, it does. And here's what I'm doing is we're taping this podcast. I'm looking at those turnovers on downs, and they're turnovers because you
That's right.
could have scored points. I count them as a turnover. They don't go in the turnover category, but to me they are. So first one, turnover on downs, right? Could have been a 45-yard field goal. Still has to make it, but at least you're attempting it. So could have been 3 points. They don't get the first down. San Fran goes down and scores a touchdown. That's a 10-point swing right there, Reg. 10-point swing, right?
Of course it is. Of course.
And then after the touchdown, what happens? San Francisco kicks off. Huge. And this really, to me, was like, this is when I saved myself in my gambling area today, Reghi. This is when I said, you know what? It was 24-17. I had lost on the first game about $40. So I was trying to save face a little bit. And I'm thinking, well, okay, Detroit, boy, I got San Francisco in some of my futures bets that I laid down before the season started, during the season. When they made it 24-17, I said, you know what? What am I getting here? What can I get? Plus 135 for San Francisco at that point. So I jumped in and saved about half of my money I lost in the first game by taking San Fran at that point. Okay?
So they're down 7, and you got Frisco for plus 135.
Yes.
That's a hell of a play.
Yeah. So I did that to save a little bit, still down, but to save me a little bit. But that's when I started you know what? This is going to be the reverse of what normally happens to Shanahan, blowing a big second half lead, right? And sure enough, that fumble on the kickoff, they go down and score. Next thing you know, it's 24-24. They hold, force Detroit to punt. Then San Fran takes the lead on a field goal, and then the turnover on downs again. That's 3, leads to another 7. That's another 2 10-point swings, Reghi, in what ended up being a 3-point game for the Lions.
How the hell are you supposed to win like that? As you just laid out nicely, when you have 2 quick 10-point swings. And again, Dan Campbell's done for a lot of terrific things, and he's got the Lions overall back relevant again. But that was winnable today, Kenny, in the NFC Championship game, man. You're playing to win an entire NFL championship in 2 weeks.
Yep.
You can't blow a 17-point lead. I don't give a damn who you're playing against. How did you get the 17-point lead? Huh? How'd you get it? You're running the football. You actually were playing, for them, decent to solid defensively. And then it just completely comes undone. So to me, that starts with the head coach. Starts with a head coach. And so, sorry, Dan Campbell, giving you a lot of kudos and attributed a lot of the Lions' success to you. Well, you gotta take this one today. Start getting your field goal team out there and take the threes once in a while, man. Don't try to be like your King Kong hero and we're always going to get touchdowns. The NFL, man, you're not going to always put touchdowns on the board. This league and these defenses and defensive coordinators are too damn good. And he's got to, at a point, realize that. I mean, if and again, the man's done a good job. I mean, what were they? I don't know what they were his first year. Were they 3-13 or I don't know. But he's done a very good job. But now that you got a real good football team, you better quit leaving points on the board, man, because of your insistence on we're going to keep the offense on the football field and get it in the end zone and put touchdowns on the board. No, you're not. This is the NFL. Not all the time you're not. An NFC championship game on the road, you can't blow a 17-point lead when you're not even attempting makeable field goals. So there you have it. I'm a little bit mad, Kenny.
I can tell, Reg.
I'm mad about it, man. I hadn't been hasn't been a Detroit winner since, like I said, I was 3 years old. And they certainly had a chance today, a real strong chance to win this football game and at least play in the Super Bowl. But
they remain, Reg, one of 4 teams to never have been to a Super Bowl: the Lions, the Texans, the Jaguars, and the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
The only 4 never to make it to a Super Bowl since the Super Bowl era started 58 years ago. And for Super Bowl 58, we get a rematch, like we said earlier in the podcast, of Super Bowl 54. It's Kansas City against San Francisco. And let's do this. Let's get a break in right now, Reg. Let you cool off a little bit. Go grab a cold one. Relax a little bit. How about a shot of tequila? That'll calm the nerves a little bit too. There you go. That'll bring you down a little bit, talk you off the edge right there. And when we come back, we'll start to preview Super Bowl 58. The odds makers in Vegas already have San Fran as a favorite. We'll tell you by how many, and then give you Michael's thoughts on the matchup and mine as well when we return to the R&R podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network, powered by MGM Northfield Park.
What's up, everyone? I'm Holly Wetzel.
And I'm Tybus Powell.
And we are your hosts of The Orange is Oranger, a Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. We give you all the dog pound coverage that you'll need to get you through the regular season, hopeful postseason, and I'd say off-season, Tybus, but is there really ever an off-season for this team?
Thankfully for our podcast, Holly, there really never is when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Don't miss our breakdown of each week's matchup, game recaps, and any and all news out of Berea to feed your Browns appetite. As we know, Holly, dogs gotta eat.
Yes, they do. So hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode of the Orange is Oranger, Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
Hey, the Roadman Kenny Roda here for the Reghi and Roda podcast, powered by MGM Northfield Park. Love them as our title sponsor. We thank them so much, and we want you to know that Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Doors open at noon daily for simulcasting. They've got live racing at Northfield Park Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday with a post time of 6 p.m. Sunday, handicapping contest features Gulfstream Park and weekly $900 worth of prizes. Registration begins at 11 a.m. and the Road to the Derby contest will begin on Saturday, February 3rd through April 13th. Where does all of this happen? It happens at MGM Northfield Park. And tell them Reghi and Roda sent you.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And we continue with the R&R podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Shout out to our title sponsor, Brent Reitz, and all of the fine people there, MGM Northfield Park, for being on board with us once again this year with the Reghi and Roda podcast. So thank you to them. Head on out there, have some fun at Northfield Park. Will we have fun, Michael, in 2 Sundays from now? We're taping this on a Sunday night when Super Bowl 58 takes place between Kansas City and San Francisco. You like that matchup?
Yeah, I do like the matchup. I mean, like I said, for me, I was really hoping my Detroit Lions were going to be in there. However, I do like the matchup. And Kenny, right off the top, while San Francisco probably overall this year has been the more consistent football team, I like Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs to be able to find a way to win, because that's what Andy Reid and Mahomes and their football team seems to do. Whatever it takes, they find a way to win. And I know you're going to say, well, they didn't have the type of record that they normally have this year, and there were some losses that were unsightly. But I like Kansas City and Mahomes, Kenny.
In order to be the man, Reg, you got to beat the man. Woo! And San Fran couldn't beat him back in Super Bowl 54. And while Brock Purdy played pretty well today, 20 of 31, 267, a touchdown and an interception, had some big scrambles, made some plays there. Again, they were trailing, didn't they? They trailed last week too. So they've had to rally in back-to-back weeks at home against Green Bay, right? That's right. And Detroit, whereas everybody wondering how would KC and Mahomes do on the road. They went out and won 2 impressive games the last couple of weeks and were in control for the most part, even though they didn't score in the second half this week. So, yeah, until somebody can beat Mahomes, right? Yeah. That doesn't have Tom Brady on the team, I'm picking Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. Their running game isn't great. Their receivers aren't great. They have the best tight end in the game. That's the combination that if San Fran can take away Travis Kelce, right, and quiet the Swifties in the stands. You know how big of a story that's going to be with Taylor Swift probably in attendance, right?
Yeah.
If they can take him out of the game, Travis Kelce, and neutralize him and keep him from an 11 catch, 116 yard and a touchdown game like he had today, then San Fran will have a chance. But again, until somebody can beat them, and that defense, which never gets enough credit because of Mahomes being the face of the NFL and a Hall of Fame quarterback already, in my opinion, that defense is pretty doggone good. So that defense from San Fran, the front four, going to have to find a way to put pressure on Mahomes and take away Travis Kelce if they want to have any chance of beating Kansas City in 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, and as good as San Francisco is, like I said, we saw them here in Cleveland this year, and this is not a slight on Kyle Shanahan or his coaching, but give me, I'm going with the better head coach and the better quarterback.
Okay.
And that's why I'm going to take Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, that combination, because to me they are the better head coach and the better quarterback, and I'm going to start there and say that they are going to come away victorious and the ones holding up that NFL championship hardware in a couple weeks.
I looked back at Super Bowl 54 and I forgot that it was Jimmy Garoppolo, that was the quarterback for the 49ers, and he coughed it up twice, but so did Mahomes in that game. But Mahomes able to throw for 2, run for another, was the MVP of that game as they got it done. But again, they're going to have to rely on a receiving core besides Travis Kelce that doesn't have a Tyreek Hill. Now, they won it last year without Tyreek Hill, but this year, how many drops did they have throughout the regular season? I think they led the league in drops in the regular season. So they've been able to, for whatever reason, focusness, Jim Thome term, right? Turn up their focusness and catch passes for the most part in the postseason. And Mahomes not turning the football over. And that's the key. In games of this magnitude against the top talent in the league, where it's win or go home, and in this case, win the championship or lose the championship, Patrick Mahomes seems to understand that, hey, my defense is pretty damn good. If I don't turn it over, it's okay to punt the football once or twice a game, maybe even 3 times a game, but not put my defense in a bad position by turning it over, or dare I say, going Joe Flacco and throwing 2 pick sixes in one playoff game, right?
Yeah. Well,
so he understands that. He values the football. He's learned that. And I think they win their 3rd Super Bowl championship in the last 5 years, and he's your Super Bowl MVP.
Well, we're both in lockstep there then. And just for, those of you that like these kind of numbers, the 2nd greatest winning quarterback in NFL history, Bart Starr, the Green Bay Packers, is number 1 at 9-1. Now, remember though, they played. You didn't have to win potentially at least 3, and if not 4 games to win a Super Bowl, right? But number 2 overall, that's right, Patrick Mahomes.
Really?
17 playoff games, Kenny Roda. He's 14-3. So I'll ride with that. Mahomes, Reid are 14-3 in their 17 playoff games together.
Damn, that's impressive. I mean, Brady's got more Super Bowl wins, but he played in more playoff games, so the percentage isn't as good. But
others on that list, the top 5, Troy Aikman is up there. Like I said, Bart Starr's number 1, Mahomes is 2.
Yeah.
Troy Aikman, Brady is 4, I think, but he have 48 playoff games, 35-13.
Wait a second.
48.
That's crazy.
It is.
He started and played in 48 playoff games and won 35 of them. That's insane.
That's basically 3 full football seasons.
Yes. That's nuts.
Tom Brady is 35-13 in 3 football seasons worth of playoff games.
Wow.
Yeah. I just looked it all up today. Again, Bart Starr, but remember, you won the division back then. You went straight to the end. I mean, you only played 1 playoff game many years. The championship game. This would be, a couple of that was before the Super Bowl era for Starr. But anyway, 9-1 for him. And Mahomes is number 2 at 14-3, and Brady's done it 48 times, playing 35-13. Aikman is up there high as well.
Reg, I'm trying to get some numbers for my gambling buddies out there. Okay.
Okay.
As I'm learning along with Judge Smales and everybody at Bushwood Country Club now that it's legal to gamble, right?
Oh, yeah.
Here's what I've been able to find: early numbers, various betting apps. All right.
Okay.
San Fran, the favorite, -2.5.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got them right now. Let's see, at -120 in one of the apps. And I've got KC either
Is that
at
at -2.5 or on the money line just to win the game?
just to win the game is -120. So that's your money line. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Another one has on the money line -110.
All right.
Kansas City, the underdog, getting 2.5 with the spread on the money line. KC +115 on one of my betting apps and +100 on another one of my betting apps.
Well, well, like I already said, I like KC. I'd certainly take a shot at +115 on the money line for them. Straight up win the football game. I don't need to deal with any points there. I think they're getting, so what? They're getting 2.5. That don't need it. They're going to win the football game. So, yeah, that's where I would go on that money line, buddy.
I'm pulling up my ESPN bet app right now. Let me get my verification code in there, Reghi. All right. They want to make sure it's me.
Right.
They're taking my money. Let's
Always
see
important.
Here. We'll throw this in there and see what they have with their lines as I pull this sucker up. All right, here we go. Super Bowl. They've got it. Okay, here we go. ESPN bet has it at San Fran as a -1.5. So San Fran, a 1.5 point favorite. And the money line is KC even and the 49ers -120 on the money line.
Basically, this is a pick'em game.
Yeah.
So already they started out at KC San Fran -2.5. Kenny, it goes to show you, in the time we've been on the air, it's already been bet down to -1.5.
Yep.
Meaning the majority of the money has come in on Kansas City. At the beginning, getting 2.5 and now down to 1.5. So yeah, it's basically a pick'em game. And I like your thoughts on that. If I play it, I'm taking Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm taking Kansas City too. I want to wait and see where the Sharks lay the money a little bit later on. We got 2 weeks to play with this number for a while, right?
Yeah.
So I want to see, but if I can get me at like if I can get that +120, then yeah, I'm jumping on that, and I'll throw a few shekels down on that.
That's a good play.
You
get a team like Kansas City at plus money? Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're betting $5 or $5,000. That's a good play to me.
Here's my parlay that I'm thinking about. Plus, if I can get on the money line, KC +120, and then whatever the odds are on Mahomes winning the MVP, I'll package those two together. And the other thing that I'll throw in there, because he's been on a roll, I'll throw in a Travis Kelce touchdown in the game too. Okay. So there's my 1, 2, 3, my 3-leg parlay. Early thoughts on that as we wait and see where all of this goes. But San Fran, I might also throw in a McCaffrey touchdown because he seems to score every game. But he left with I think he had a stinger, but he's got 2 weeks to heal from that. So I'll wait and see what the injury is there and how Deebo Samuel's shoulder is as he played today and contributed with 8 grabs, 90 yards. But the for sure thing for me is KC a winner. Mahomes, the MVP, and Kelce touchdown. That's my 3-leg parlay, and I may add McCaffrey to that.
Okay, sounds like a winning threesome, a winning parlay that Roda is probably going to put in the books for himself. You do that, and you'll have your birthday present come strong for you in a couple weeks.
Fingers crossed on that. We'll see what happens with it, Reg. All right, last thing before we get out of here, Reg. All right? After watching all of this and knowing it's San Fran and KC, how far are the Browns away from either one of these two teams?
Well, that question's got a lot of tentacles to it,
right?
It does.
I started thinking about it when the final clock hit 0-0-0, and I'm like, okay, we know the teams now. The Browns, Barry had his press conference. He talked to people. So how far away are they?
I do feel it's all predicated on Deshaun Watson, or the vast majority of that is predicated on Deshaun Watson. I think you could, easily say that if Watson gets back to playing the type of football that we saw him play, during his time before he got to the Browns, I don't think it's that far-fetched. Is that going to happen next year? I mean, we'll see. I'd like to, obviously Nick Chubb is huge for this Browns organization, Ken. I mean, is he going to be back 100%? Is he going to be the Nick Chubb that we're used to? Certainly hope that is the case. But to me, we say, well, running backs have been devalued in the NFL. Well, I'm here to tell you, Nick Chubb is as important as any one player to the Cleveland Browns and his ability to produce. And that might include Deshaun Watson, quite frankly, right? Because Chubb is a producer. He's a guy that puts you in a position to win, even at a devalued position like running back is in the NFL. Doesn't matter. Chubb's elite. Chubb's elite. And I'm going to ride and if I have to die with him, then that's the guy I'm doing it with, Kenny. So let's just hope that. I don't think they're far away. But then again, I mean, Andrew Berry's got to make a lot of strong moves this offseason and got to do a lot of things that turn into winning moves, right, for the Cleveland Browns. So we'll see as the offseason goes on if he's able to do all that.
Here's the way I'm looking at it. I look at their receiving core, and outside of one wide receiver, Amari Cooper, there's nothing there. Absolutely nothing there, in my opinion, okay?
Yeah.
The role players at best that didn't pan out, right?
Right.
And Njoku, I like his emergence as a tight end.
Right.
So Cooper and Njoku, not a bad 1-2 to have for Deshaun Watson to throw to. However, left tackle, Michael Reghi. There's one area besides wide receiver that I need to upgrade to left. Now, does that mean do I flip-flop DeJuan Jones to left tackle and Jed Wills over to right tackle and have Conklin coming off the bench because of how much money you owe him? Yep. Maybe I do that. Do I go out and get another left tackle? And
that'd be costly. That'd be costly money.
Exactly. So that's why I'm trying different ways but I got to get me a better left tackle to protect Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Nick Chubb, that's huge too. Where is that? Does he come back to start the season, midway through the season? If not, is Jerome Ford the answer? I don't know. So those question marks keep me from putting the Browns as a Kansas City, San Francisco team, even though they beat San Francisco, this past season, 19-17 at home. And then the other side of that is, Reg, and you and I talked about it, we love what Jim Schwartz did with the defense for the most part. Number one defense yardage-wise in the NFL this year, but I think about middle of the pack points per game-wise, right?
Correct.
That's because of the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde home-away defense. Home, phenomenal. On the road, not good at all. At times, flat-out stunk.
Yeah.
So they've got to figure out how to be more consistent defensively for me, no matter where they're playing the game. And while he may win Defensive Player of the Year, I'm sorry, man, Myles Garrett down the stretch, you got to step your game up, man. They were counting on you to make plays down the stretch and in the playoff game, and he was a non-factor with the exception of late in that Jets game when they sealed their playoff position, right?
Yeah.
So I need more from Myles Garrett when it matters most with explosive defensive plays. He doesn't bring that like a TJ Watt does for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, he may beat him in the voting this year, but I'm sorry, in his last 5 games, he was a non-factor.
100%. I'm with you 100% on that. And here's the thing. Again, yes, like we were saying earlier about Lamar Jackson, right?
Yep.
With the Baltimore Ravens. We're giving him all kinds of kudos and all kinds of attaboys and all kinds of, you got a terrific unit, Jim Schwartz. But Kenny, as you just alluded to, this tremendous cavernous disparity between home and road. No, man, it's gotta change. I'd even give up on being a little bit less formidable at home, because you need to be far more formidable on the road, Kenny.
Yep.
It's night and day. Hell, that doesn't even begin to say it. It's like you got 11 different guys out there. At times, it looks like 11 decent high school players are out there in road games, as opposed to what they're able to accomplish at home. But that's got to change. You can't sustain that and to go say you are a championship contender when you're that porous on the road and you only play well at home. I mean, what the hell is that? That's got to change.
I'm with you, partner. I'm with you 100%. So are they a playoff team next year going into the season? I think those will be the expectations, and they need to win a playoff game. They got to get to the next round. Hey, give Detroit credit. They got to the NFC Championship game, had a lead in the NFC Championship game, came up short. That should be, that burning desire in the offseason for them to take it a step further. Well, for the Browns, I'm hoping getting embarrassed by Houston and a rookie quarterback in the first round of the playoffs will drive them as much as this loss will drive the Detroit Lions.
Well, it better be, because if it doesn't, we talk about home road.
Yep.
Another thing, I gave you the one, little tidbit there. Detroit has now lost 12 consecutive road playoff games. Yeah, that's great. They won the 2, right, in the last couple of weeks, both at home at Ford Field. The organization, 12 straight road playoff losses, man. Wow. I'll give you one more today. You're up by 17. Yep. Remember, the 49ers just put together the 3rd largest comeback in conference championship NFL history. Remember a couple of years ago, 2018, remember the Bengals were down 18?
Yeah.
It came back and rallied back to win. Well, this San Francisco comeback today, down 17, the 3rd biggest comeback in NFL championship game history. Conference championship game.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, so many things, but, it goes to show you that's why everything, right? Would you agree, buddy? It's so fleeting in the NFL. I mean, again, you just really don't know. If you got that big of a disparity in how you play at home and how you play on the road, well, good luck trying to win anything significant. Good luck.
All right, Michael, that'll do it for us. We'll see what happens in a couple of weeks in Super Bowl 58. Maybe next week we dive into the Cavaliers, Michael. All right,
for sure. Yeah,
huge win for them at Milwaukee to close out a 3-1 road trip. We'll see if DG, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley are back anytime soon. February 8th is the trading deadline, so we'll do some full court press on the Cleveland Cavaliers and break down some NBA action maybe the next time we get together on the R&R podcast. All right.
I like that, buddy. Always good being with you. And again, most happy birthday for you. Enjoy it and turn it into a real good 2024 with you too. As the odometer keeps going for both of us, right?
Yeah. I got to get another oil change to keep it rolling.
Nah, you're good, man. This decade for you will be you'll like the decade of the big 60s.
Right. The big 6-0, baby. Not
there
Hawaii 5-0. It's Medina 6-0. There you go. That's the way I'm looking at it.
I'm glad you're smiling and laughing about it, buddy. Keep doing that.
That's
the one thing we're not going to change, are we?
No.
No, we're not going to ever. Father Time isn't going to ever give it back to us. So, we got to roll strong going forward. Happy birthday.
Like a plan. All right. Thanks, brother. Thank you to Ty Courts, our producer, as well, for making sure this gets out to you in the podcatosphere. Everybody, thank you for your loyalty, your listenership. And we'll talk to you again soon here on the R&R Podcast.